Welcome to Castle of Paint. My name is Ian and today we're painting teeny tiny sneaky boys. Legions Imperialis is here and I for one cannot be more excited to create big battles full of teeny dudes. I have chosen to take the Alpha Legions my first force in this game, and so today I'll be quickly showing off how I paint them. We don't have any playing around with light sources here, as not only are these miniatures small, we're also army painting. I first spray the miniatures with Citadel Chaos Black spray, and then I do a Xenophil with Citadel Lead Belcher. In order to paint them, I superglue the minis to a wooden stirring stick so I can hold them properly. This will give us some pre-built shadows and highlights, but just spraying the whole thing with Lead Belcher would work fine too. With our foundations done, it's time to add some depth. Since our boys are tiny, we want to pump the contrast as much as we can, so we can read the depth from the tabletop. I take Vallejo Metal Color Aluminium, one of the brightest silvers I have, and dry brush over the models using a cheap makeup brush from Amazon. You can see I have 3 minis here, a Dreadnought, a Terminator, and a Rhino. This is because each presents a slightly different painting experience at this scale. With the dry brush done, I take Citadel Contrast Achillean Green and paint it over the minis using an Army Painter monster brush. This method was one I saw done by Henry at Cult of Paint and also by the GW team for some normal scale Alpha Legion dudes. It seems that this colour was made for the Alpha Legion and it just works so well over a metallic base that no one really needs to reinvent this wheel. For larger vehicles, I would suggest airbrushing on the contrast, just to give it a more even coat. Once that overall coat is dry, we take the Vallejo Metal Color Aluminium and dry brush the mini again. This time I'm only going to do the front and the top of the mini, as this is where the standard Army Painter light source comes from. This is our last dry brush, so now we can block in some layers and not worry about any overbrushing getting onto bits we don't want. Quick note on painting tiny, small things. It's best to use the right brush for the job, so if you need to use a crazy small brush, just do it. Also, it's very hard to keep them in focus while filming, so please bear with me. I take Vallejo Model Color Black and paint it onto the gun cases, cloth of the Terminators, and hatches of the Rhino. This is our major contrast color, and it can be kind of added wherever we want, but we just don't want to overload the bluey green. With the black added, I now go in to add some metallic accents. On screen now there is an image I'm taking as a reference. You can see here that one of the soldiers is metallic, so I take Vallejo Metal Color Exhaust Manifold, another shout out to Cult of Paint for pointing me onto this color. I also use this paint for any parts of the gun or anywhere else that I want to be metallic. This color can be a little bit watery, so I'm careful not to let it flow where I don't want it to. Finally, I take Vallejo Model Color Neutral Grey and apply it to the base. Also the little bit of bases between the legs on the Terminator, this is the same for all the infantry. Speaking of that base, it's sponge time. I often get a bit lost when it comes to bases. It's grey and grey, dry brushing, washing, dry brushing. So today I'm going to do it a different way. I get 3 colours, Vallejo Model Color Olive Green, Vallejo Model Color Green Ochre, and Vallejo Model Color Medium Sea Grey. Then I take a sponge, just one taken from the kitchen, rip it up and sponge on the paint. I remove most of the paint from the sponge on a dry palette, as I just want the effect to be subtle. I start with the most contrasting colour, the green. Then I do the ochre, then finally, to bring it back to the grey base, we use the light grey. For the base of the Terminator, I need to replicate this, so I take my Raphael 8404 brush and do very little dots, in the same order. The key here is to not make the dots too big. Now let's have some secret sauce, an oil wash. I'm now going to cover everything in a brown-red oil wash. I take Abtalung Red Brig and Raw Umber and mix them together with some white spirit to make my wash. The reason for applying an oil wash is because I can remove most of the wash from the flat, higher areas of the mini. With things this small, I don't want to have a wash taint the other colours already applied. I also wash the base. This should hopefully tie everything together. Once the oils are dry, I left this overnight, I take a little makeup thingy, dip it into the white spirit and remove the wash from the top bits, leaving the red-brown in the recesses. With the wash gone, we can stick things to the bases, black rim them and add them to the tabletop, but I want to push things a bit more. We're going to highlight a few things, maybe add some spots colours. Let's get to it. First I want to highlight the black. For this I take Vallejo Neutral Grey, no need to add extra paints when we already have a good paint in the scheme, and I add this to the black parts on the edges and then the small stripes. This is hard, because the minis are small, So I take my best brush to do this, Raphael 8404 in this case. Then I take Vallejo metal color aluminium and add it to the metallic areas, the exhaust manifold parts. Both of these highlights should be done on the front and the top. We don't want to waste time where we do not need to, so we can just leave the shadows alone. Finally, I want to add some pop colors. Most of these minis don't really have places to do this, but on the plasma minis and the tanks we can add a little something. For both of these I base with Vallejo model color white grey. On the plasma guns, it's the plasma coils, and for the tanks, I do this on the lights. Just don't miss with the white like I did. It would be great on all the eye lenses, but I think I would die if I tried to do this on all the minis. Once the white is dry, I paint the plasma with Citadel Hex-Ray Flame, and for the lights, I use Cassandra Yellow. I gently break them off the stirring stick, super glue them to the base, and it's time to finally show you the result. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed seeing this come to life. Stay tuned for more, and to delve deeper into what we're doing here, head over to castleofpaint.com.